Okay, and so obviously there's a lot of symbology and themes around the winter solstice, which is really what I was interested in exploring, because there's not a ton of tales that talk about the winter solstice. There are more that now that I started doing this research, I found a few more. But I really like this story because there's this fear that the light will never return. And if the light never returns, all life on Earth perishes. And I just can't imagine living in a time period when this was a true fear. This is kind of the emotional core of midwinter. This story really personifies the fear that went along with what happens during the wintertime.
Yeah, and I'm wondering because we don't live in the far north. I'm wondering if there are more myths than we think there are about the
Mm,
summer, the winter solstice.
yeah.
Because it is a scary time, and the only way to get through it is to to sit by a fire, and tell
Mm-hmm.
stories about the sun. Now we have technology, and I look at reels sometimes. My one big vice is looking at reels on Facebook. I'm sorry to admit that, but it's true. And one of the reels that comes up is, for instance, in the Slavic countries, you have parents who have flashlights they put on their children's heads, take them outside, and go spend as much time during the day outside as they can, even though it's completely dark. They have the flashlights. So, in other words, it's a way of showing them that life goes on, even though the sun is not there.
Mm,
It's very
yeah.
challenging, though. It'd be very challenging for most people.
Yeah. One of the themes I came across is the yearly arc: dissent, trial, and return. The light is stolen when the days shrink and people enter a time of not enough light and not enough warmth or certainty. And then there's the trials and quests. The heroes heal plagues, chase wildfire, face northern dangers, forge keys, and mirroring the work of patience and the mutual aid needed to survive in the winter. And then there's the return. The real sun and moon are released, the world brightens once more, and this matches the solstice hinge where the days stop shortening and very slowly life returns to brightness.
But Vanessa, you're leading right into why we always have light in the winter holidays, even in Texas, where it's not going to be dark for very long. It's much longer in Christmas than it is in the summer. We have light. You have Christmas lights. You have Hanukkah lights. You have what other light? Light everywhere. I've
Yule
seen
logs.
malls. Sorry.
Mhm. Yule
Yule,
logs.
Yule logs. You go to the mall in Florida, in the middle of the day when it's you're sweating because it's so hot, and yet there are lights everywhere because it's to remind us that even though it's winter, light's coming back. So it's just become a tradition now, but it was for a really important reason to remind you the
Right.
light will come back.
And prior to electricity, even where we live in the South, it would have been very important here as well. I mean, now that we have electricity, it kind of changes everything. We have the ability to have light all day long, 24/7. But, you know, prior to that time period, uh, the candles and the Yule log, having that cosmic light in our own homes would have been incredibly important. And we still continue with that tradition because it brings beauty and joy and cheerfulness into our lives when sometimes the winter makes us feel sad and dark.